Have you ever heard of a king who possessed unrivaled wisdom, yet his insatiable desire for women led to his ultimate fall from grace? This is the story of King Solomon, the wisest, wealthiest, and most powerful monarch in Israel's history. Solomon's reign brought prosperity to Israel, but his one great weakness, his pursuit of 1,000 women, clouded his judgment and contributed to his downfall. Blessed by God with extraordinary wisdom, Solomon built a kingdom that was the envy of the ancient world. His reign saw Israel become a superpower, rich, influential, and peaceful. However, Solomon's 700 wives and 300 concubines were more than just political alliances. They were a mirror of his desires, and these women brought with them foreign gods and customs that threatened to corrupt Israel's faith. Was it his harem that ultimately led to his ruin? Join us as we unravel Solomon's rise to greatness and the tragic consequences of his choices. The story of Solomon begins in 990 BC in Jerusalem, where a young prince was born. His name was Solomon, meaning peaceful and friend of God. His birth, however, was steeped in controversy. His mother, Bathsheba, had been the wife of King David, but their relationship began with scandal. David, in a moment of temptation, committed adultery with Bathsheba while she was still married to Uriah, one of David's trusted soldiers. In an attempt to cover up his sin, David orchestrated Uriah's death in battle. Though David's actions were grave and resulted in divine punishment, the death of his first child with Bathsheba, God, in his mercy, forgave him. From that repentance, Solomon was born, a symbol of peace and reconciliation between David and God. As Solomon grew, he was mentored by the prophet Nathan, who recognized a unique spark in the young prince. Nathan, fully aware of the delicate nature of Solomon's claim to the throne, quietly maneuvered behind the scenes to ensure Solomon would succeed David as king. When David fell ill and his death drew near, Solomon's path to the throne was far from secure. His older brothers had stronger claims to the crown, and conspiracies were brewing. Solomon, with the guidance of Nathan, purged his rivals and established his rule with ruthless efficiency. One of his first political moves was to marry the daughter of Pharaoh, Egypt's most powerful ruler, solidifying an alliance that would strengthen Israel's position in the region. But it was a dream that would define Solomon's reign. One night, God appeared to Solomon in a vision and offered him anything he desired. Solomon, with humility and wisdom far beyond his years, asked for discernment to govern the people of Israel justly. God was so pleased with Solomon's selflessness that he granted him wisdom unmatched by any king before or after him. This divine gift became Solomon's greatest asset. Solomon's wisdom became legendary, drawing the attention of kings and queens from distant lands. His judgment was tested in countless ways, but one event, in particular, showcased his unparalleled discernment. 2 women came before him, each claiming to be the mother of the same infant. Solomon, understanding the power of a mother's love, proposed a shocking solution: to divide the child in 2. The true mother, unable to bear the thought of her child being harmed, immediately offered to give up her claim in order to save the child's life. Solomon, recognizing her sacrifice, declared her the true mother. This judgment, wise beyond measure, became a symbol of Solomon's reign. Despite his wisdom, Solomon's reign was not without its challenges. While Israel had grown prosperous, the people still practiced idolatry, offering sacrifices on high places rather than in a dedicated temple for the Lord. Solomon knew the time had come to build a magnificent temple that would honor God and unite the nation in faith. But to do so, he needed resources beyond Israel's borders. Solomon turned to King Hiram of Tyre, a wealthy and skilled ruler known for his city's artisans and resources. In exchange for food and goods, Hiram provided the materials and craftsmen necessary to build the temple of the Lord. The temple, which would take 7 years to construct, was designed with divine precision, its every detail planned according to God's instructions. Solomon poured his heart into the project, knowing it would be the crown jewel of his reign. But Solomon's ambition didn't stop with the temple. He also set about constructing a grand palace for himself, which would take 13 years to complete. His palace, like the temple, was a symbol of his wealth and power, a majestic building designed to reflect the grandeur of his reign. The construction of both the temple and his palace transformed Jerusalem into a city of unmatched beauty and prestige, solidifying Solomon's position as a ruler of great renown. Solomon's fame spread far and wide, attracting rulers from distant lands. One of the most notable visitors was the Queen of Sheba, a ruler from a kingdom known for its wealth and wisdom. Intrigued by the stories she had heard of Solomon's wisdom, the queen made a long journey to Jerusalem, bringing with her a caravan of treasures. When she met Solomon and tested his knowledge with riddles and difficult questions, she was left in awe of his wisdom. She recognized that Solomon's understanding surpassed anything she had ever encountered, saying, "What I heard in my land about your affairs and wisdom is true. Your wisdom exceeds what I could have imagined." The Queen of Sheba's visit marked a high point in Solomon's reign. Her admiration for his wisdom and wealth only added to his legendary status. But while Solomon's reign was defined by wisdom and prosperity, his later years were clouded by his indulgence in foreign alliances and his growing harem of wives, many of whom led him astray. These alliances brought idolatry and foreign gods into Israel, challenging the kingdom's faith and ultimately leading to its division after Solomon's death. Solomon, the king of Israel, is often remembered for his unmatched wisdom, but his greatness extended beyond his intellect. The Queen of Sheba, upon visiting Solomon, declared, "Not even half was told to me. Your wisdom and goodness are greater than the fame I had heard. Solomon's wealth and opulence were equally legendary. Gold, silver, and precious stones were abundant in his kingdom, and even his throne was a marvel, a masterpiece made of ivory and pure gold." Under Solomon's rule, Israel flourished, trade blossomed, and prosperity flowed throughout the land. Every detail of the king's palace was lavish, from the gold vessels used for drinking to the fine tableware in the house of the forest of Lebanon, all crafted from gold. Silver, once precious, was considered insignificant during Solomon's reign, but it wasn't just his material wealth that defined him. Solomon was also a prolific writer, inspired by God to capture divine wisdom in written form. His works, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and the Song of Songs, would transcend time and become pillars of biblical literature, offering profound guidance for future generations. In Proverbs, Solomon shared pearls of wisdom, declaring, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." In Ecclesiastes, he reflected on the fleeting nature of life, concluding, "Now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind." And in Song of Songs, he celebrated the beauty of love, expressing, "Place me like a seal over your heart, like a seal on your arm, for love is as strong as death, its jealousy unyielding as the grave, it burns like blazing fire, like a mighty flame." Thus, Solomon left behind a legacy of profound wisdom, a testament to God's favor upon a man who sought truth and justice in a world often marred by darkness. However, amidst his brilliance, Solomon made a grievous mistake. He succumbed to a temptation that would ultimately lead him astray. Despite God's warnings, Solomon's love for foreign women led him to amass a harem that was unparalleled in history. 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines. The grand palace of Solomon, a labyrinth of stone and cedar, hid a secret as vast as his wisdom, a harem of 1,000 women, each one an enigma, bringing with them their own cultures, stories, and gods. From Ethiopian princesses to daughters of Pharaoh, Solomon's alliances were vast, and through these women he forged peace with distant kingdoms. Yet with each alliance came rivalries, jealousies, and intrigues that stirred beneath the palace's luxurious exterior. But this web of political and cultural ties also brought in foreign gods. Statues of Ashtoreth, Baal, and Mulch began to appear in high places, challenging the monotheistic faith of Israel. Solomon, who had once built a magnificent temple in Jerusalem to honor the God of Israel, found himself erecting altars to these abominable gods. His heart, once filled with divine wisdom, now faltered as idolatry took root within him. God, seeing Solomon's wayward heart, was filled with anger and sorrow. He warned Solomon, "Since this is your attitude and you have not kept my covenant and my decrees, I will most certainly tear the kingdom away from you and give it to one of your subordinates." The kingdom that Solomon had carefully built and unified was now on the brink of division. Solomon's reign was marked by wisdom and prosperity, but it was also a stark reminder that even the wisest of men are not immune to temptation. His disobedience led to the rise of adversaries, none more prominent than Jeroboam, a servant of Solomon, who was secretly anointed by the prophet Ahijah to rule over 10 of Israel's tribes. "See, I am going to tear the kingdom out of Solomon's hand and give you 10 tribes," the prophet declared. This prophecy set the stage for the eventual fragmentation of Solomon's once unified kingdom. However, in a moment of clarity and repentance, Solomon turned his heart back toward God. Recognizing the futility of his idolatry, he poured his soul into writing Ecclesiastes, a poignant testimony to his search for meaning and purpose in life. He expressed, "Meaningless, meaningless, everything is meaningless." Through this reflection, Solomon shared the depths of his struggles and disappointments, ultimately concluding that true fulfillment could only be found in God. After a 40-year reign, Solomon passed away. His legacy, both grand and tragic, endured. While he left behind a kingdom teetering on the edge of division, his writings remained, offering wisdom for generations to come. His son, Rehoboam, ascended to the throne but inherited a fractured kingdom already showing signs of discord. Although Solomon's reign marked the end of an era, his story, filled with wisdom, wealth, and folly, continued to serve as a cautionary tale. It demonstrated that even the most blessed and powerful individuals are susceptible to falling into sin when they turn away from God's commandments. There is, however, one more element to Solomon's story, not found in the Bible, but in apocryphal traditions. According to texts like the Testament of Solomon, the king was said to possess a magical ring given to him by the archangel Michael. This ring, known as the Ring of Solomon, was believed to grant him the power to control demons. Solomon is said to have used this power to compel demons to assist in the construction of the temple. These legends, though symbolic, add to the mystique surrounding Solomon, portraying him not only as a king of immense wisdom but also as a master of the supernatural. Despite the allure of his power, wealth, and wisdom, Solomon's story ultimately reflects the fragility of human nature. Even the wisest and most powerful can fall, but God's grace and forgiveness remain available to those who seek his face. Through Solomon's life, we are reminded of the importance of keeping God at the center of our lives, lest we lose the very wisdom that once guided us. Solomon's mother, Bathsheba, played a pivotal role in shaping both his reign and character. Her influence, though significant, also reflected the complexities of desire and power, themes that haunted Solomon throughout his life. The struggles Solomon faced, temptations of lust, power, and idolatry, are deeply entwined with the story of Bathsheba, highlighting how both she and her son navigated the challenges of leadership and faith.